Hello everyone and Salamat Datang. In the following report I would like to present and reflect some of my cultural experience during my time in Malaysia. I am living in Malaysia for 4 months only, and writing down all of my activities and experiences would cover a whole book. In general I can say, saya sangat suka Malaysia, or I really like Malaysia because of its very warmly and welcome friendly people. But why? In this report I focus on 3 of my stays. The first one was a weekend trip to my Malay Chinese friend James in the Cameron Highlands. For my second stay I went 8 days to my Malay Christian friend Alexandra in Sabah, Sandakan. My third trip was the most special one. During our cultural course 2019, I lived 1 weekend in a Malay Muslim family in Gua Musang, Limau Kasturi, a more rural traditional area. Okay, let's start with the stay at my Malay Chinese friend James' home in the Cameron Highlands. First of all, how did I get in contact with James? So, one day I went to the Mercator office to organize some of my visa documents, and by incident I met James. We had a long and sympathetic talk. James was planning to go to Germany for 1.5 years, doing the same exchange program like me, only in the other direction. We stayed in contact with WhatsApp, and I recommended him some websites and apps to make his start in Germany easier. He was interested of my further trips in Malaysia, and I told him about my plans to visit Cameron Highlands. Surprisingly, he grew up in Cameron Highlands, and his parents are still living there. Suddenly I was invited, and there I was, staying 1 weekend at his home. The first evening we went to a typical Chinese steamboat restaurant. We were cooking vegetables, barbecue pork and drinking a bottle beer, quite similar to one of my dinners back in Germany. After our dinner we went to his home. His parents welcomed us very warmly. They were so cared about giving us everything, food, drinks and offering us a comfort bed. Very lovely. They do not speak English well, but James translated a lot and we had a nice long talk. They were really interested about life in Germany, studying and my experience in the exchange program. After some time, they also introduced James' siblings. In the living room were posters of their children during different graduations. During our trip, I noticed that James' father and his brother are working as farmers, and they were also quite a lot working on the weekend. I analyzed the family as hard-working and setting a high focus in the education and the career of the children. I think it's because of the hard working of the parents that they wish their children an easier lifestyle with high wealth too. On Friday, James and I joined the 9 Emperor Gods Festival. James and his family are Taoists, and the festival is a religious Taoist celebration. The celebration date of the event is selected after a period of 9 days raining. Taoists believe that the rain represents the tears of a god who is crying because his son were killed. After 9 days of rain, the streets are clean, and they call the god by a parade, smoke and fruits to come down to earth. This year there were 4 selected Taoists in Cameron Highlands who did a special ceremony. These 4 got stung a metal rod through their cheek. Taoists believe that in the moment they stung it, the god is inside them, so they do not feel any pain. After the ceremony, the selected ones are cleaned by the god and have a powerful, healthy life ahead. It was my first time seeing the Nine Emperor Gods Festival, and of course, in my opinion, it's very crazy to do something like this. But anyway, it was really interesting in which ceremonies and stories other cultures and religion believe in. As I already mentioned before, James is now doing an exchange stay in Germany. Same direction like me doing. During my stay, he had a farewell party at a bar around the corner and brought me to his friends. All his friends were really friendly, and it was a hangout quite similar to me and my friends' evenings back in Germany. Let us continue with my second stay at my Malay Christian friend's house, Alexandra. My Malay Christian friend Alexandra is living on Borneo in Sabah Sandakan. By the way, in my opinion, this area has the most amazing nature and wildlife I have seen so far. We went on a jungle trekking and a river cruise, and we were so lucky to see orang-utans, different monkeys, sun bears, Borneo elephants, crocodiles, and very colorful birds in free nature. Her parents are a mix of Kadazan Dusun, Filipino, and Chinese. So she recommended me to remember KFC. And I felt pride of her belonging to this ethnic group. Alexandra's way of living is quite like my way of living back in Germany. I really like the cohesion and the big size of her family. I am a lonely child, and I also have only one cousin. So compared to Alexandra, who has 2 siblings and 35 cousins, it seems weird. A lot of her family members are living around Sandakan, so it was always very cool meetings by incident and warmly welcomes. Let us continue with my last day, the special stay in a Malay Muslim family in Gua Musang, Lima Kasturi. So, during the cultural course 2019, 12 of our German exchange students went with a few organizers and 45 Malay students from the UKM College Sabah to Gua Musang, Limau Kasturi in Kelantan. Limau Kasturi is a small village in the northern part of West Malaysia. It is in a rural area, so it was best suited to experience the traditional Malay culture and way of living. The welcome was very warmly. My brother Shah and I were allocated to the family of Mr. Nomi. Mr. Nomi and his wife have 3 children. The 2 youngest ones live at home, and the oldest daughter Ika is studying at UPM. Of course, the life in a Muslim family and in a rural area is much different than my normal life. I am living in Malaysia now for 4 months, and I am already a little familiar to Muslim habits. But living 1 weekend in a family opens your mind and lets you know some big differences. Believing Muslim always keep a distance between the gender. It started with the welcome session. Only man and woman welcomed each other warmly by shaking hands. The same distance is also kept in the household. Mrs. Nomi always cooked really nice typical Malay dishes. But during our meals, only Mr. Nomi, his son Shah, and I ate first. Mrs. Nomi watched us and checked if anything is missing. After we finished the meal, Mrs. Nomi and her daughter started their meal. This was strange and interesting to me because I'm not used to this way of life. Mr. Nomi was quite busy during the weekend because he went out for working on a plantation or fishing. So nearly in every dish was some fish contained, which was caught by Mr. Nomi's own. That was also very cool to experience. The culture of food was also different. At 7 a.m. in the morning we started with rice and chicken, some vegetable with very salty boudou sauce and Milo. We also had rice 3 times a day. To be honest, I really love oats, muesli or bread for breakfast, so after the weekend I valued my variety in food much more. But in general I like their meals a lot, and like it is typical for Kelantan, the dishes are salty, but not too spicy. That is great. The first times I also tried eating with my hand, but it didn't work that well, so they offered me a spoon. To be honest, on the first day I wondered a little about the facilities in our house and in general about the infrastructure in the village. Some buildings were ruined, some places were messy, but then I heard about the tragedy of Gua Musang Lima Kasturi. In 2014, the village was hit by a flood. Mr. Nomi told me that all houses except of 2 were hit and everything had to be repaired or rebuilt. For a village like Lima Kasturi, it is very hard to cover these costs. It is a disaster. I was so happy to hear that no one was seriously hurt, and my family saved their removable belongings before the flood. I analyzed this flood shaped the spirit of the people in Lima Kasturi to live more in the present, and I noticed again how valuable our infrastructure and our insurance system back in Germany is. Next to all these impressions in my new Malay family, I really loved time spending with the other students and doing cultural activities. Our group performance, the Joget Kelantan, we trained for it about 3 hours. For our final performance, my family offered me some baju Malay, the traditional Malay attire for men, and then we rocked the stage. It was much fun to dance this Joget Kelantan. The time in Lima Kasturi, we did so many activities I would like to tell about, but then this report would not find an end. I loved this cultural course and it was a great experience, which also taught me to be more open-minded to the locals, and I will definitely travel again to more rural spots, which are not so much into tourism, because this is a way you can enjoy direct interaction with the locals much more. At this point, I would like to thank all the organizers of this cultural course, the Sabah students for their support, and especially all the foster families for their warmly welcome and their effort to give us this amazing opportunity to stay at their houses and experience their culture. I hope to go again to Lima Kasturi soon. Sampai jumpa lagi.